This video is not for people that are just putting together an album, posting it on their story like, here, damn, niggas. Like, this is not for that. If that's what you want to do, that's fine. I don't think you will get long-term success. This video is really for people that are wanting to put in the work and maximize the amount of people that are going to listen to their album and probably have fun doing it along the way. What up? It's your boy Zane with Amuse, and today I'm going to be showing you guys what I think a good, if not great, album rollout looks like, because to be honest, I'm quite frankly tired of just seeing some of my friends post, I'm releasing this album this day, and then nothing else. And a great album rollout starts months before you even tell anyone that you're gonna release it. These first few months are spent promoting something you've already spent so much time on, and so you can maximize the amount of people that are going to listen to your album. Part of a good album rollout is maximizing your connection with fans. By maximizing your connection with them, you're gonna create a lasting impression, and that's gonna lead to more fans, which equals more streams. But like I said in my last video, which you should check out if you have not already looked at it, branding is also everything. That's also gonna play a big part into your album rollout. So if you don't know what a real album rollout looks like, it sort of takes fans on a journey, usually a couple months long journey, of just leaving breadcrumbs for your fans to sort of chase after, and you gradually introducing parts of the album to them until you finally release it. It uses storytelling, branding, and visuals to bring listeners into the world of the artist and into the world of that album. I also just want to say too, there's no correct way of doing an album rollout. There's for sure a wrong way, which is just saying I'm dropping this album on August 8th, but there's no correct way to do a proper album rollout. All the tips and everything I'm walking you guys through, I got from Venice Music Company. They have a website. You can go check out some case studies like I did and just learn like I did. They're not sponsoring this, but if you guys want to sponsor me, hit your boy up. But like I said, I did the research on some of the most recent successful album releases, like the Addison Rae album, the Clips album, the Doechii album, and mixing all of those tips together and share what I think are some of the most important things, and sort of put together a strategic step-by-step guide on how to roll out an album. Phase 1 is the actual album itself. Before you even start the album rollout, you need an album, and there's a couple things that you need to know about your album, even if it's not finished, before you start the rollout, because rollouts can take months. So you might be finalizing the album or even finishing up recording the last couple songs on the album, but there's still a few base things that you need to know before you even start the rollout. The first is what songs are on the album. You don't need to know all the songs, but you for sure need to know maybe your strongest 1, 2, 3, because those are going to be your lead singles that you're going to use eventually to promote the album. And that's going to let you think of and dig into really what the theme and the branding of the entire album is going to be too, which goes into the next point. You need to know what the album is at its core. You need to know what the overall theme is, how it fits into your self-branding, like we talked about in the last video. Just that whole thing is really going to help with the rollout. And lastly, you need to know approximately how long you want your rollout to last. Like I mentioned Doechii before, her album rollout lasted 9 weeks or 8 weeks before she eventually dropped it. But the Addison Rae case study, her album rollout lasted damn near a year. There's no set amount of time, and we'll go into pros and cons later about longer versus shorter. So once you've thought these things through, you can start your album rollout and go into phase 2, which is the build-up. This is the part of the rollout where you just start to set intrigue and start to set the stage on something. There's more to come. You're not gonna tell them what, you're not gonna tell them when, you're not gonna tell them anything like that. And like I said earlier, there's no set period of time for an album rollout, but this can last anywhere from 3 to 4 weeks to 2 months of just setting the stage. And during this phase, your goal should be to establish the branding and identity of the album that you're gonna start communicating to your fans. But at the same time, you don't want to really give away too much of what's happening for real to them. So like Doechii did, you can start maybe by just wiping your socials. You can do like a little teaser video of just saying like there's more to come, or you can sort of maybe start consistently posting if you don't post a lot, just to sort of create a sense of, ooh, something's happening, this is different. That's all you really need to do. You just need to signal that something is different, and people are going to take notice. It's also important to realize that once you establish this overall branding though, you really cannot change it, or it's gonna fuck up your entire campaign. The ideas that you execute throughout the campaign might change and could change depending on feedback from one phase to the next, but the overall core should really not change. Think of making like a tagline for your album and just sort of following that for the entire thing to keep yourself on track. But in the event that something is forced to be changed, whether it be lyrics, whether it be visuals, overall aesthetic, something in the core branding, make sure you share with your fans why it was changed, especially if it's just in the middle of the campaign for no apparent reason. Clips did that when UMG tried to change Kendrick's verse on Chains and Whips. They just bought out of their deal because they would let them have the album how they wanted it. But just make sure that everything relates back to that tagline or that overarching idea or core if you don't make a tagline. So now I'm gonna give you some examples from these albums, like I said, on how to tease without giving too much away to your audience. For example, Doechii, for her Alligator Bites Never Heals album, did the Swamp Sessions, which was a 7-week sort of social media thing that she did, where every week she posted what she was doing in the studio, and whatever she got out of that is what she would post and what she would put out. And it just really let fans know that she was working on something. They didn't know what the fuck she was working on, but she was working on something, which is what's important at this point. It also became something that fans began to look forward to and count on, which is what you're trying to do. You're trying to build a connection with fans during this rollout, so when you do drop, they'll listen to that shit. And during this, it's also important to do something creative like those Swamp Sessions and not just post like a snippet, because most of the time, people are not going to care at all. I mean, I see a bunch of snippets on TikTok that I just scroll past because either the visuals aren't compelling, the text on screen isn't compelling, for whatever reason. I'll just scroll right past because, to be honest, if I don't know you and I'm just seeing a snippet on TikTok, I most likely don't care. Another example is Addison Rae. Her lead single was called Diet Pepsi. So for her teaser, she mailed Polaroids and pop tabs to fans. She posted cryptic one-liners like, "I don't do Coke, only Diet Pepsi" on TikTok, but the audience doesn't know exactly what it might be. And whatever you choose to do, it should start to define the visual era or visuals of the entire project. And once you do all of this and start feeling like you're starting to gain some momentum, you can finally drop the lead single after a couple of weeks. Everything you've done so far has hinted at new music, but you haven't actually dropped anything yet. So when you do drop this new single, you can't just drop it, say, "Here, listen," and then never touch it again. That's not how an album rollout works. You have to keep going. You have to keep the momentum pushing. You can do this by reusing the sound on TikTok, on Instagram, on wherever, YouTube Shorts. You can also react to people using it, duet people using it. You can maybe release a music video for the single, a visualizer with Easter eggs for what's to come next in either one of those things. You can maybe remix the song, especially if you do it with someone that isn't in your genre. You can reach a whole new audience with that. You can also maybe for this single drop it in an unconventional way, like maybe you go on an interview with a local radio station, or I know for me, my friend Underground Raps Preston, he does a lot of interviews. Maybe you drop the single during an interview with him or something like that, or just doing something unconventional, like Clips dropped one of their songs in the Louis Vuitton fashion show. So just make sure you're doing something that makes you stand out, and make sure you're dropping with intention too. This means that you're promoting it afterwards intentionally, and maybe you even drop it on a specific date for a reason, like maybe you drop it on your birthday, or you drop a love song on Valentine's Day, or whatever that might be, because it's going to give your song more cultural importance mentally in people's minds. And after you've dropped your lead single and have been promoting it for a couple weeks, you can move on to phase 3, which is the pre-drop. You're not dropping yet. So by now you should be at least a month, maybe 2 into your album rollout and have started to see like solid traction around that single, around people wanting to hear new music from you, and you should just in general be starting to build up a little bit of a buzz. You should really start to notice a difference now. During phase 3, your continued goal is to keep building that intrigue and keep building off that momentum. And you're gonna do this by releasing gradually the official assets of the album. What do I mean by this? I mean the cover art, I mean the track list, I mean any press photos you might have taken or photo shoots you might have done. Your focus is to continue building that anticipation for this new music. And by doing that, you're also gonna keep building that connection with your fans. Now, the next steps are really gonna vary based on how long you want your rollout to be. Like I said earlier, during phase 1, you should know in general how long you want it to be. Because right now, you're going to decide, do I want 1 lead single? Do I want 2? Do I want 5 lead singles because my album has 25 songs? And based on how many singles you want to drop before the actual album is really going to determine how much work you're going to have to put in for one, and also how long your rollout's going to be. I would say 2, maybe 3 songs should be enough for most of the artists that at least I know. But there are pros and cons of having these like longer rollouts and more developed rollouts. For example, the pros. The streams of each of your songs should start to have a little snowball effect on each other. Like, let's say you want to drop 4 singles before the album comes out. You drop 1, it does pretty well, then you're gonna drop a second one, and people are more than likely gonna go back and listen to the first one too. So your streams are gonna start to have a little snowball effect the more songs that you release, just because you're gonna be having this sustained promotion during this time. A second pro to doing like a longer album rollout is you can introduce more emotions, more eras, I guess, and more different sounds that your album might have and that you might want to showcase. So you can keep introducing like new things and dive deeper into these things while keeping the overall theme of the album intact. It also gives you more time to do more creative executions with each song that you release and really dive deeper into each one of these singles. It's going to be a lot more work though. It also gives you more time to connect with your fans in different ways while you're creatively releasing these songs. An example of this might be you might release merch with every single that you drop, so fans feel like they're collecting pieces of a puzzle until you finally drop that album. And it sort of shows the scope of the album, and you're not gonna rely on one song to carry the entire thing, because if that first lead single is not received well and people think it's ass, then they're probably not gonna listen to your album. But if you go 2 for 3, that's way better than going 0 for 1 on singles before the album. The cons of this though is you're gonna have a much longer album rollout. So if you want a quicker one, like I said, Doechii did hers in like 2 to 3 months, and she did 2 singles before the album. You're gonna have an easier time making a quicker rollout, whereas Addison Rae did 5 songs during her rollout, and it took her damn near a year. Like I said earlier, you're gonna have to do a lot more work, because for each single you release, you're gonna have to put maximum amount of promotional effort into each one so you don't lose momentum when you're doing this album rollout. Another thing a longer rollout does is make you spend more money on this promotion. Now, there are definitely ways to creatively do it without having to spend that much bread, but the money is gonna stack up the more stuff that you try to do with each of these songs that you're releasing before the actual album. And lastly, if you're not already like a super established album with a super established fan base, people honestly might just get fucking bored and want you to just drop the album, and you might start seeing that in your comments, which can be negative and demoralizing. Whichever way you choose to go though, you're just gonna have to be creative the entire time and put in the max amount of work. And once you're done releasing these singles and you think you've started to build up enough momentum, you can also start slowly, gradually releasing the assets, like I said. The track list, the album art, any press photos you've done. It's also important to note that now's the time around here where you can announce the actual release date with these official assets, so people have a date to start looking forward to after all of this time. And when you do that, you can finally start encouraging pre-saving of the album. Once you have your date, once you have all of this stuff released and you're promoting it, that's gonna start phase 4, which is release week. This is the week you've been working for all of these months, so you cannot stop now. The goal of this phase is to create a memorable and impactful moment for yourself and the fans, so they listen to the music and keep listening to the music. And it should be a culmination of pretty much everything you've done so far. You want to use this final week before the album comes out to wrap up whatever narrative you've been making and overall show the evolution of the project, whatever that might mean to you. It should be something that invites conversation and invites reflection, and just in general gets people talking about your fucking album that you want them to listen to. You can do this with like live Q&As, you can do in-person or virtual launch events, you can do behind the scenes stories, production insights, you can have exclusive release day content that you might have made earlier. Whatever it might be, you just want to get people talking and excited for the album at this point. You should also be sure to thank fans a day or two before the album comes out, because even though it's your album, it's a whole journey that everyone went on together, and you would not be in the position you are without them. So you should thank them and make them feel like they're for real a part of the world that you created and wanted them to step into and welcome them into. And the night of the release, another thing you should consider doing is maybe having a listening party with some fans, with some friends, with whoever. At the forefront of that, you should have content in mind, because when you're making this content about this listening party, people are going to wish they were there. And after the album is dropped, every couple days or whatever, you can release more footage from this listening party to keep people talking about it. And now, after the listening party and everything's happened, you should have finally dropped the album by now. But you are not done. You are simply going into phase 5, which is the post-drop. The work is not over yet. Why would you spend months on all this shit just to drop it and never look at it again? Especially now when you have something you can actually point to and say, go listen to this shit. Whereas before it was all theoretical. The goal is to just keep expanding the world of that album that you created and keep that through line, keep that overarching theme in mind and expand it in any possible way you can think of. You can do live shows and events, like I said, you can do tours. You can use different, like not music events to position your music in a different cultural space and gain a different audience. You can keep collabing with other people for remixes, like I said earlier, maybe even outside of the genre, like I said earlier. You can maybe go on a press tour next, start contacting your local media and see what they want to do, or hit up Underground Raps, go do an interview with him. The main thing you should do too is go beyond the music. By now, people have probably heard the music, and you need to expand from that. Music is not a physical thing, so you want to give people something physical that they can see. You should really be thinking about, what does my album look like? What does my music look like? Who does my album or music look like? You can also start collabing with like maybe painters or videographers to give something new to the album. Maybe you do like a little short film. Maybe you ask a painter to interpret your album and make a painting for it and you post it. Like, that shit is gonna be cool and it's creative and keeps people talking about your album and keeps the buzz around. Basically, whatever you can think of and is feasible to you, I think you should just do it, bro. Like, there's so many possibilities. But as music goes, eventually your shit will start to die down and you can slow down the promotion. And hopefully after you've taken some steps from this, you saw growth maybe compared to your last album and you had way more listeners on this one, or maybe even way more long-lasting fans because you actually built a connection instead of just posting a snippet and telling niggas, hey, I got an album coming out next week. This builds that connection and lets you keep lasting fans, especially if, like I said in my last video, you have that already established brand that's so important, and this album plays into that. People are going to start listening to your music more. If you guys found this video helpful, make sure you guys check out my last video on artist branding, and make sure you guys leave a like on this video and subscribe so I know you like this kind of content and I can keep helping you guys out by making more of it. But yeah, I'll see y'all in the next one. Peace.